Hello, Dave.
Hey Sergio, how are you?
Fine, fine. I'm
Good.
happy because I'm talking to you right now.
Oh, thanks, man.
Uh, your acting in the movie is pretty impressive and something to see. And I know that you've been looking for let's say more complex roles for a while. This one, this one is it. So
Yeah.
how was for you to prepare for this role for in order to portray Leon or
It was well, I didn't, I didn't put a whole lot of preparation into this film. One, because I didn't have the time to, but also I'm just not the type of actor who just overly thinks things, overly prepares. And it's really because I was given some advice early on in my career from an actor named Tamaro Morrison, and he said that he'd never prepared for scenes because he was afraid that he would show up over rehearsed in his head. So he would have a scene one way in his head. And he said if the director and the other actors, if we were all on different pages and all had ideas of what the scene was, then you would all be clashing and there would be no chemistry. So always, kind of read your lines, before you go to sleep, blah, 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 blah. Put no emotion to them, no thought into them. Just be professional and know your lines. And then go to set with an open mind and be willing to be directed and be willing to bounce off of your fellow actors. And that's what acting is. It's being living in the moment instead of being over rehearsed in your head. So that's what it was with this character. I realized how deep and complex the character was because I read the script. But every day I went to set with an open mind and just had conversations with Knight and really just kind of followed his direction. No matter what it was, I just trusted him completely. So a lot of times I even went against my gut instinct and just listened to what he was saying and just kind of followed his direction. And that was kind of my process throughout. Just listen to him, trust in him, bounce off my fellow actors, and then what you see on film is the final result.
and then the way the movie is shot with these like close-ups, it makes it even more challenging. I don't know if you were aware of. I mean, while you were filming, of course, you knew where the camera was, so
Right.
that was like an extra level of pressure because the
Yeah.
as I say, the way that this is shot is just very, very, very personal. It gets like in your face directly.
Yeah, it was. No, I was aware, and it was challenging. It was like nothing else I'd ever done. Um, but I was aware of the challenge before I went in because I'm familiar with Knight's movies. I'm a fan of his, and actually, our first conversation, that's what it was. We talked about his films and what I loved about them. So I knew the way this was going to be shot and I wanted that challenge, but it was difficult. Every day I struggled, and every day Night challenged me, and it's a very self-conscious thing having the camera right here, but also it's a challenging thing. It's a very there's a lot of pressure when there is these long takes, 5 minute takes, 10 minute takes, 15-minute takes, and there's just one camera and you're using film and the camera is turning and that you have to bring your A game because people are depending on you. You have castmates that are really pouring their hearts and souls out into these performances. And if they're giving their all in these performances and the camera turns to you and you blow it, then you've wasted their performance. And that's, nobody wants to be the guy that's responsible for wasting, other very talented people's performances, especially when they're bringing so much emotion to it. I don't want to be the person responsible for that. So we all took on this responsibility together to come to set and be prepared and be on our A game and to really deliver and depend on one another. So I was really fortunate. I was really fortunate to work with this cast. I mean, such a strong cast of theatrical actors, and that's probably where they have the experience of handling these long takes and these huge amounts of dialogue. But it was all new to me. So yeah, it was. I mean, it was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Uh, did you have to read the book? That I mean, I know there's a book like the movie is not exactly the same. I mean,
Right.
but do you have to read the book or do you
It's
want it to
funny,
read the book?
because I got the book and I told Knight that I was going to read the book because I really want to get a better sense of Leonard. And he actually asked me not to read the book. He said, "Don't read the book because it's different from the screenplay, and I don't want you to get that stuck in your head. So just for right now, just read the script and just focus on the script." but I had the book and I still like to read it. But I've read parts of it, but they were after because I wanted to see what the difference was, especially with the ending of the film. But I haven't read the book in its entirety.
So the movies. This is a movie that is interesting too because it intentionally make us feel uncomfortable, and it just asks a lot of questions about like faith, about religion. I know that you're like Catholic, so how do you approach those things? How do you feel that were like presented in the movie? Because it's very very interesting. There is complex there too.
For sure. I don't overthink that, and I think I always feel like at the end of the day, that's going to be, especially with religion. Religion is such a touchy subject, and so I think that's up to the filmmaker what he wants to present. Because if you present a religious question in a certain way, there's always going to be somebody who's going to be unhappy about it. But so you want to try to, even out that tone so it does deliver the message without excluding people from wanting to watch this film. So for me, that's the way I thought about it. I think I'm more of a spiritual person than I am a religious person. But I really, what I focused in on this was really just faith, from human beings to their brothers and sisters to other human beings. Do we believe in each other? Do we believe that inherently we are good people, it's okay for us to sacrifice because it's worth it. At the end of the day, we're saving people who are worth saving. So asking all these questions is also, how do we measure love, or what do we visualize love looking like? What does it look like? Is a traditional family, or is an untraditional family just as valuable as a traditional family? To me, that question is easily yes, because I don't come from a traditional family. But I think other people need to start seeing that the love is just as pure. These chosen families, they have just as much value as a traditional, stereotypical family. But it's getting people to kind of open their eyes and being open-minded to that, and really accept that is true, that love is just as equal to a traditional love. I think these are all like important questions and important conversational topics, especially now when we're living in such a hostile time, which we wouldn't think we would be. But I think more than ever, and even in my lifetime, that these questions are just so valid and so relevant.
And in that sense, it's important too, right? That that couple is portrayed by like real gay guys, because
Yeah,
usually in movies, mainstream Hollywood movies, it doesn't happen.
right.
So not the movie is just like inclusive, not only in terms of the way it portrays this couple, but also like in the way that the people they hire for those roles.
Right. And it is. It's very inclusive, and it's very important for a night, I think, to really keep in mind for this film, because it's such an important message that there is a strong message of inclusiveness, and also diversity. And if you take a look at the cast, I mean, we're very diverse in backgrounds and ethnicities and sizes and shapes and genders. But I think it's all adds to the conversation, and I think it's all relevant. And I think, that's kind of the beauty of this film. And that, to me, I find beauty in films of this type is, it's a special thing to walk away from a film and to have a conversation about it, to be able to talk about it. And not only to be able to talk about it, but maybe want to go back and watch it again and process it again. And, actually, I like watching films and just watching them. I don't want anybody talking to me while I'm watching a film. But I like if you watch a film and you have a conversation about it, then you can go back and watch it again, but while having a conversation about it. So, because really, because there are a lot of, if you find films that are kind of inspiring, they're always inspiring for a certain reason, and the reasons are typically because they are relevant to something that's going on in your life or in the world. And I think, by far, this is one of those films.